9 Characteristics of Boaz in the Bible. Boaz, PDF. Characteristics of Boaz in the Bible. In the Bible, Boaz is one of the most admirable characters. He was a man of great character and integrity. Here are some of the characteristics that made Boaz a great man. He was generous and compassionate. He cared for others and was always willing to help those in need. He was faithful and true to his word. He never broke a promise or failed to keep his commitments. He was courageous and fearless. He faced danger without fear and never backed down from a challenge. He was humble and unassuming. He didn't boast about his accomplishments or try to draw attention to himself. He had a strong sense of justice and fairness. He always tried to. Characteristics of Boaz in the Bible. Generosity. Boaz was very generous in his actions towards Ruth, providing her with food and grain despite the fact that she was not his relative. Characteristics of Boaz in the Bible. In the book of Ruth, we are introduced to a man named Boaz who was a wealthy landowner and relative of Ruth's late husband. From the very beginning, Boaz shows himself to be a generous man. When he first meets Ruth, he could have easily sent her away or ignored her. However, he instead shows her kindness and tells her that she is welcome to glean in his fields. Not only does he allow her to gather food for herself and her mother-in-law, but he also instructs his workers not to bother her or mistreat her in any way. Later, when Ruth returns home with a full basket of grain, Boaz again demonstrates his generosity by giving her even more than she had asked for. He continues to show his kindness towards Ruth throughout the book, ultimately marrying her. In all these ways, Boaz displays the character trait of generosity. Kindness. Boaz treated Ruth with kindness, taking care of her and protecting her while she worked in his fields. In the book of Ruth, we are introduced to a man named Boaz who is a relative of Ruth's late husband. From the very beginning, Boaz is shown to be a kind and compassionate man. He takes notice of Ruth when she arrives in his field to glean wheat, and he could have easily ignored her or treated her harshly. Instead, he speaks kindly to her and ensures that she has everything she needs. Throughout the story, Boaz continues to show kindness toward Ruth. He protects her from harm, provides for her needs, and even goes above and beyond what is required of him by marrying her. This demonstrates that kindness is one of Boaz's defining characteristics. As Christians, we are called to follow Boaz's example by showing kindness to others, especially those who are in need. By displaying acts of kindness, we can reflect the love of Christ to those around us and make a lasting impact on their lives. Compassion. Boaz showed compassion for Ruth and her family by offering to marry her despite the fact that she was not a Hebrew. The book of Ruth tells the story of a Moabite woman named Ruth who, after the death of her husband and sons, returns to her homeland where she meets a man named Boaz. Boaz is a relative of Ruth's late husband, and he takes her under his wing, treating her with kindness and compassion. One way that Boaz displays his compassion for Ruth is by ensuring that she has enough food to eat. In ancient Israel, it was customary for farmers to leave a portion of their crops in the field for those in need. Boaz goes above and beyond this custom by specifically instructing his workers to leave extra food for Ruth. Ruth 2:15-16. He also makes sure that she is able to glean in his field, which provides her with an additional source of food. Ruth 2:8-9. Furthermore, when Ruth asks Boaz to marry her, he agrees even though she is not Israelite. Ruth 4:10. This act of compassion demonstrates Boaz's character and his willingness to love those who are not like him. Ultimately, through his acts of kindness and mercy, Boaz shows himself to be a man full of compassion. Loyalty. Ruth was loyal to Naomi, even after her husband died and she had to leave her home country. Greg. Father, grandfather, minister, missionary, deacon, elder, author, welcome to our family. View all posts.